Hello everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to our old format of one show, one shot, DC and Marvel. Last week we did a one show because it was a very short amount of books. A lot of people wrote me, a lot of people messaged me saying it was nice to see the old format back. So, we're going back to the old format. Will it be permanent? It really honestly depends on time and recording wise and a few other factors. But for the most part, the episodes are back. The indie reviews, of course, will still be their own show, connected to the episode. But DC and Marvel together are fine. I'm going to be working tirelessly this week, as of tomorrow, on my channel. And we got some other little extras coming your guys' way soon. So, let's waste no time because there's a lot of books this week, and we are late. This review should have been up on Monday morning. This is going up on Thursday morning. So, pardon us if we run through the books a bit more. We're not as thorough as we normally are. That's because basically these books are so old now. This week's books are already out. Yeah. They're out and being discussed already. So,
the books that were released...
Oh, thank you. Were released on
October 8th, 2014.
Okay, see, but this book was not released on October 8th. This book was released last month, and we got it at New York Comic Con because Charles Soule was there, and we found a first printing of the first issue. We got the other three coming. They'll be with issue number 4, which came out this past Wednesday. The Death of Wolverine, issue number 1. It's a really good read. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really angry that certain people didn't get it when it first came out.
Don't look at me. You're the one that said that we shouldn't get it.
Yeah, sure. I'm watching you.
Well, look at the price. I mean, the price was...
It was supposed to be weekly. Originally, it was supposed to be weekly for the 4 weeks of September.
Right.
So it was $5 a week. What happened was it didn't happen that way. It was every other week, and we're already in the second week of October, and...
Now he tells me.
It was supposed to be weekly. It was advertised.
Well, whoever told you gave you no.
Diamond Direct told me, and that's the people that distribute the comics.
Continue with the
Okay, we're now in these books. We will be reviewing issue 4 and honorably mentioning 2 and 3, just like we did issue number 1. We're now in George A. Romero's Empire of the Dead, Act 2, issue number 2. We don't get to see the mayor in this issue. Instead, we're focusing on the zombies again, which I do like that. We get inside the head of the zombies this time. And we have the person who's pulling the strings behind the mayor's nephew running against the mayor. It turns out there's this big plot happening behind the scenes where they want to overthrow the mayor and they want to get rid of his whole family from getting into into the office. And they want this guy called Dobbs to run. He'll take over as mayor once they get rid of the mayor and his nephew. There's some other vampiric stuff going on in the background. Again, read this book. It's really good. Zanzibar. Something happens with him in this issue. He gets what we figured he was going to get in the first act, in Act 2 instead. And we have those people who are going to attack the city doing some test work on some... extra large Molotov cocktails, like you can see here on the cover. Artwork is really nice. I really like the artwork in this book.
I agree.
It fits the book perfectly. Let me show you guys some artwork with the zombies. It fits the story very nicely. I really like it, and I really am enjoying the story. If you're a Night of the Living Dead fan, if you enjoyed Act 1 of Empire of the Dead, you're going to enjoy Act 2. I'm hoping there's at least one more act to go. I like when there's 3 acts in something. You get the beginning, the middle act that sets everything up for the grand finale act. I hope there's at least one more set up. Hopefully this isn't the second of 2, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out with that. Rocket Raccoon issue number 4. This, again, I mentioned this on the live show, and I'll mention it here. This is one of those books, if you're a fan of Rocket Raccoon, you're going to enjoy the book. If you're not a fan of Rocket Raccoon, you're not going to like the book. First of all, it's not something that's groundbreaking, spectacular. Oh my god, let me tell you guys the 5-star rating of this book. It's a nice book. It's a fun book to read. but it's not something that it's going to change a piece of the Marvel universe like what's going on with the Avenger. I think it's just its own book for enjoyment. The artwork is by Scotty Young, and it's really nice artwork. I will say that. It's nice to see him doing the internals of a book, but I'm starting to wonder how much longer he's actually going to be doing a full book of Rocket Raccoon before he backs down and somebody else will take over, and then the book will probably most likely be closed out. So Rocket has now found this other Rocket, and he's not alone in the galaxy, and then there's this humongous spoiler, and I really don't feel like this is a spoiler here, so it's not another raccoon, it's Blackjack O'Hare, basically a rabbit, and we find out that he did this because he wanted to destroy Rocket Raccoon. He wanted to not just destroy him, but he wanted to destroy everything connected to him. And it all connects back to what happened in the very first issue. He was supposed to, the rabbit was supposed to eliminate the princess that Rocket Raccoon saved. The girlfriends show up, a gigantic fight between Rocket and all of his exes breaks out. In the end, Rocket wins, let's just put it that way. Guardians show up, and all is well, and then the last page, which is an epilogue or a prologue to things to come, because it still says to be continued on it. I'm leaving that out on purpose, but Rocket, you know, inside, he's a smartass, and Blackjack O'Hare, he said this, I know on the inside, you may be a smartass, but deep down, you're alone, and, what was it? He's like, you're a raccoon, if it quacks like a dog, you're a raccoon. But you're honestly nothing. And it's he broke him down. They broke down Rocket in this book, and it's interesting because you get insight on Rocket, and that's why I really like this book, because it focuses on Rocket, and you get really into his character through this series. And I enjoyed this book. I thought it was a really nice read. However, again, if you don't like Rocket Raccoon, you're not going to like this book. If you want to try Rocket Raccoon, then it's a flip of a coin. Either you'll like it or you won't. If you don't like Rocket, I would not recommend this book. That's really the best way to describe the Rocket Raccoon book. Now, Star-Lord, on the other hand, that's a different book completely, but we'll talk about that when there's a Star-Lord book.
The Punisher, issue number 11. There is a returning character that comes back in this story, and the turn of a character, but I'll explain when we get into the comic book. And I felt like it's been a long while since the Holland Commandos want to take over Los Angeles, to blow up and everything. So Frank Castle at the cell, he talks to this guy who he was trying to find out answers from in the last issue. He makes it out of prison, and what a way to make it out. I'm trying to show a page that doesn't have graphic. Yeah, this one's good. The police officer who got off of duty is actually trying to become like the Punisher, like basically just shooting everything at sight, even with the ring that she had on her finger, like the Punisher that Frank gave her. And there's a little scene between her and the Black Widow that talk, but if you want to find out what it is, read the book. Rachel actually returns in this comic book, and it's great to see her again, because it's been a long while since we saw her in the Punisher book. And she just wants to help him out a little bit, and basically the Punisher wants to call it quits of being who he is. And Rachel's like saying, you can't be serious, because of everything and what's going on. And we all know that when they say they quit, they come back. So I'm not going to even get into that. And
yeah, it's just going to be the road back, basically.
The rest I did leave out because I want you guys to read it, but this was really good. I'm really enjoying the Punisher comics, and can't wait to see what's going to happen next for the Punisher.
Captain Marvel issue number 8. I'm enjoying Captain Marvel, but again, if you don't like the character, you won't like the book. This story was more of a... It feels like this two-part story was a filler-esque issue or series or story, because in a previous story you had Rocket Raccoon calling Captain Marvel's cat a flurkin. She's like, it's not a flurkin, it's a cat. And then in the previous issue, issue number 7, we find out that her cat is a flurkin, after all. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. and the cat just laid about 1 million eggs and had a bunch of fleur kittens. But they're still being attacked by this black mass, and Captain Marvel sends the kittens and Tick away, and she actually did send Chewie with them, but Chewie ended up going back with Rocket. I really like the artwork, especially with Rocket in this book. And she stayed with Rocket on the ship. Captain Marvel's trying to fight the black mass that's trying to destroy her ship, and Tick shows up and she tries. It's a big fight between them and the black mass, and let's just say that we get to see a side of Chewie that definitely shows that she's 100% Flarkin. And Rocket actually falls in love with her, which I found really funny in this. But in the end, Captain Marvel wants to leave Tick and the kittens and Chewie behind, because she's afraid she doesn't want them to get hurt or anything. So she leaves the planet, and then it turns out that Chewie has a teleporting ability because she's a Flarkin, and she teleports herself and Tick back to Captain Marvel's ship, leaving the kittens behind, obviously, to keep them safe. So Chewie and Tick are sticking around in the Captain Marvel book. Again, this felt like a very filler story arc. Maybe the next arc will be a bit bigger. I'm enjoying the book. Is it groundbreaking? Is it super spectacular? No, but at the same time, it's a lot more enjoyable than the previous volume of Captain Marvel. And I'm enjoying her in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sure there's going to be a huge connection soon with that. Anyway, 2 more books from Marvel. One is mine and one is Mike's. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 7. In this issue, Pete is confronted by Anne-Marie saying, you can't keep running off. You're running a company now. So you gotta, prioritize more. And she kind of compares him to Doc Ock. And I'm starting to wonder if Anne-Marie is wishing Doc Ock was back around, and I'm wondering, especially with Doc Ock Spidey showing up at some point through Spider-Verse, I'm wondering if somehow she's going to fight for Doc Ock Spidey over Pete, because remember, Anne-Marie did fall in love with Doc Ock, Peter Parker. So I don't know if that's playing something behind the scenes, but somebody dressed as Captain Marvel ended up stealing one of the Terrigen eggs, one of the people who are being transformed into an Inhuman, and she's taking this DNA to make herself stronger. So Spidey goes after her. Miss Marvel, the new Miss Marvel, goes after her, and when she sees Spider-Man, she kind of geeks out. She's like, oh my god, am I in a Spider-Man team-up? And let's just say by the end of this team-up, things aren't going so well for Spidey and Miss Marvel, and there it's to be continued. Honestly, it's a nice part of the book, but I feel that should have been the backup story to the second story in here, and that's Spider-Man UK. Spider-Man UK is watching over the entire universe, and he finds Morlun. I think this artwork is really good for this story, and I'm going to tell you why.
All over the place.
Morlun is jumping from universe to universe, killing all the spiders. All the Spider-Men or people connected to the web of destiny and the web of life. And for those of you fans of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, or Spider-Man, the animated series / Spider-Man Unlimited, they're all dead. Both Spider-Men of both universes were killed by Morlun. And Spider-Man UK basically just using the device sees all this. He goes to, the Magistrate, who is basically an overwatcher of all the multiverses. I love how they're doing this. They're, everybody... Anyway, realities. Let's call them realities, because that's what they call them here. And she doesn't want to be bothered with this, but her right-hand woman actually gives Spider-Man UK the mission to... she gives him a device to travel through realities, and his mission... is to, to save the great web of life and destiny, and save all the Spider-Men from being slaughtered. And that's what he does. He jumps into the alternate realities. So we've got Doc Ock Spidey and Spider-Man UK now reality hopping to prevent the Web of Life from completely being destroyed by Morlun. And this is all going to obviously connect when Spider-Verse takes its head in another issue after this Spider-Man Miss Marvel team up. There's going to be Edge of Spider-Verse throughout all the Amazing Spider-Man books until we get into Spider-Verse, which I'm happy about. Really liking it. My one concern is with Axis and you, there's going to be a lot of Spider-Verse books, like the Scarlet Spider miniseries will be starting up, and there's going to be a lot of books. So I hope everybody who's a huge Spider-Man fan is prepared for the extra miniseries connected to what's going to be happening in Amazing soon.
And speaking of Axis, the first issue of Axis is out, Book 1, The Red Supremacy. It's where all the teams are going up against Red Skull. And go ahead, I know you want
I just want to set this up. If you did not read Uncanny Avengers, if you did not read Magneto at all, if you haven't read any book that's leading up to this, like myself, when you open this book, you are completely and utterly lost. I was lost for a while in this book until finally, I just continued forward. You won't know why half of the stuff is happening, how half of the stuff happened, if you haven't been following what's been going on in Uncanny Avengers and a few other books connected to Axis. Just a small note.
So
which is why I'm not reading it.
So it opens up with them going up against Plant Man in this book. That's what the name is, Plant Man.
I know, but I'm just thinking of Swamp Thing.
And, they're just fighting against him, and they're working as a team. Hulk comes in, and he had a little bit of a difference with Iron Man, and that reminded me of the Hulk versus Iron Man.
Yeah, but there was mind control involved.
Yeah, but that was mind control, so Iron Man, had powers of that. The book was very long. I don't want to give too much away. There is a Magneto that comes in, and I could tell by the black...
It was honestly just a lot of fighting against the Red Skull, and it really came to no...
I know, and that's really the whole point of the book, because for those of you who haven't caught up with what's going on, the Red Skull has the mind of Charles Xavier after Cyclops killed him.
And now he's also part of Onslaught.
Right, so now they want to get the Avengers and the... what are the other Avengers? Uncanny Avengers together to fight off against Red Skull.
I don't want to really spoil it, but the scene with Wasp was really good with an alternate reality also.
I know, that was really something. If you want to know, definitely read the book. Also, Havoc, Cyclops, and Wanda, they reunite and get together along with Rogue, which is really good. I don't know how Havoc's in the book. I never really expected that.
Uncanny Avengers.
Uncanny Avengers. I haven't read it, so probably that's why I don't know. So, Cyclops actually turned out to be a good person for once, as well as the other team that comes in from this page. And that's basically it. It's just them against Red Skull, and Red Skull hasn't come along because he brought a few friends with him. That's going to be very destructive. But I'm telling you right now, though, I want to continue this series. But if the price is $4.99...
No. After this, it's $3.99.
Oh, it is $3.99. Oh, okay. Well, because I heard many people say it might be a $4.99 book.
No, it went down to $3.99.
Oh,
just the first issue.
Okay. Well, don't get me wrong. It's a great book and all that, but,
with all the other books we're getting, yeah. Remember how we said we didn't have that many books last week and this week? Well, it gets made up next week. And not next week as in what you're going to see this Friday. I'm talking about what you're going to see in 2 Fridays in the whole video. Now in DC. Right, now we're in DC Comics. Digital first book goes first, as always. Smallville Chaos issue number 3. And I'm very upset to hear that after this series, after this mini series... There's only one more 3-part series, and that's Continuity. And after that, Smallville.
I thought after Chaos, that was it.
Continuity. One more.
It's Continuity. Okay.
That's going to be the end of season 11, and possibly and most likely the end of Smallville. There's no plans for season 12. I'm upset to see this go, but at the same time, what can I say? So in Chaos, Superman and Lois are still trapped in this world that was taken over by that dark side, basically. You've got the, what was it called? Shoot, I can't remember what it was called now. Jeez. The Eclipso virus being passed throughout everybody in Metropolis. So Superman's needed. Booster Gold is getting beat up by Lex Luthor's people with his tech and whatnot. So Lex Luthor has his own little think he wants to reach out to the monitors. Superman escapes the reality into the bleed, basically. I won't say how, you gotta find out by reading this. And this is actually a month late also, this is digital first. But he leaves Jor-El behind with Darkseid, the crystal. And Jor-El he throws the crystal makes a fortress, and there's a reference to New Genesis, but I don't think this Darkseid is going to become All-Father, let's put it that way. But anyway, you have Superboy, Supergirl, and Cyborg Superman, aka Hank Henshaw, in Metropolis, ready to fight against the Eclipso virus. You got Superman stuck in the bleed, and then you have Lex Luthor reaching out to the Monitor saying, what if this universe, with this reality, what if you simply reboot it? Which could lead into continuity. So Lex Luthor basically wants the Monitor to reboot the Smallville universe. Now I can kind of understand why they're going to end it at season 11, because if that's what they're going to aim for, where everything we saw on TV and everything we read in this comic series is going to get rebooted or changed in a way, yeah, I would quit while I was ahead too. That not only destroys the comic, it destroys the show. And when you start reaching into the show and ruining something that lasted 10 years and was really good, that's where even I say, okay, you know what? Before you do anything that causes damage to a show that was really good on TV, yeah, let the comic series go. I'm upset. I don't like seeing it go. But again, if you're not a fan of Smallville, first of all, you're not going to be inclined to get the specials that come out every time there's a 5-week month where there's the annuals. Because every time there's annuals from DC, they find a way to stick an extra Smallville episode without Superman into the mix. And I didn't like that. That was a humongous minus for me with the Smallville series, because the annuals didn't matter. It mattered to characters that are in the Smallville universe, but it didn't matter because there was no Superman in them, really. So, for me, they didn't matter. But, at the same time, the annuals, the series, which went from being an ongoing series to a chaptered-off mini-series set, yeah, the writing was honestly on the walls from the moment it went from Smallville Season 11 to Smallville miniseries, which connect to Season 11. That was kind of where you could see that the show was kind of... It was starting to drift off. Green Lantern Corps issue 35. I did not like this book. I don't like the direction they're going with the New Gods. Basically, I feel like the New Gods are as evil as Darkseid. Now, granted, All-Father wants the life equation so that he could defeat Darkseid. That's understandable, and he wants it for the right reasons, but this is where the good gets perverted into darkness. He's willing to do whatever it takes to do it. Meaning he's willing to kill an entire reality in order to, or see, I'm doing reality now, an entire universe to do it. And he doesn't care. So, in this book, the Lantern Corps, led by John Stewart, goes to the planet from the previous issue that was screwed up by the New Gods. And they meet up with some of the New Gods. And remember, in the last issue, they said they wanted to destroy all the rings and the lanterns. So, no more lanterns, so they can't take energy from the source wall. Huge fight breaks out. And the Green Lanterns escape, barely, thanks to, what was it, Indigo 1. And, I just don't like how dark they're making the New Gods. And also, All-Father finds Kyle Rayner and is now on the hunt for Kyle Rayner. And he's going to get the life equation from him, whether Kyle wants to give it willingly or whether he has to just yank it out of his dead body. And that's a humongous minus. I don't like it. I remember the New Gods from pre-New 52 briefly because Superman did cross paths with them several times. Orion, or Orion, however you want to pronounce his name, he is basically the same as he was in the pre-New 52, but the rest of New Genesis, All-Father especially, and Metron are all very dark characters this time. Even though they're on the side of life and, you know, the good guy side, they're a darker version of their former selves in the pre-New 52 DC Universe. And I think that's why I'm really not enjoying this series. I'm obviously going to continue it because I read 90% of the Lantern books anyway, but I'm not really liking how they're doing the New Gods. Just me. And we could do this really quickly. Superman Wonder Woman issue 12. Again, a doomed aftermath book. Superman's back on Earth. This takes place obviously after the events in the previous Superman book. Him and Wonder Woman get back together. They're happy. There's some flashbacks to some moments before everything that's gone on in Superman Wonder Woman, where, if you remember in the very beginning, Superman gave Wonder Woman this blue rose, and he said to just keep watering it, or not watering it, you give it oil, you don't water it. And because of all the stuff that was going on, and as time moved forward, she kept forgetting and forgetting to give it oil, and it mutated into this gigantic plant-like creature that all it wants to do now is consume oil and get bigger and bigger. And it's up to Superman and Wonder Woman to stop it. It turns out that, oh, what was her name? I'll know it here. Well, what's her name? Where was it? Where was her name mentioned?
Who was it?
The one that... Strife. Strife was kind of messing with Superman and Wonder Woman, where they got into this gigantic fight. And Wonder Woman realizes, hey, wait a minute, I love you. No, something's wrong.
When did Superman grow a beard and a mustache?
He was out in space for a long time. He hasn't shaved yet.
Oh.
Apparently, shaving is not on his top priority. And Swamp Thing actually makes an appearance here because he has Swamp Thing actually talk to the creature. And it just ends on a very nice note, a little bit of an end feeling to Superman and Wonder Woman. Obviously, the series is continuing, but basically it's just, hey, Superman's back. This is what's going on with, you know, him and his girlfriend. They're happy. They're together again. And it was a nicer issue, though. This was kind of self-contained. It does take place after Doom, but it didn't focus so much on it or as ramifications for it. More along the lines of it focused on just Superman and Wonder Woman as a book, as a title, as a series in general, instead of like, oh, you were gone and this is all because of you and maybe the world doesn't need a Superman. I'm glad that they kept that out of this book. But I did enjoy it for what it was. I'm sad to see Tony Daniel leave the book, but in 2 weeks we're going to get Deathstroke issue number 1, which he's doing the artwork on, and I'm looking forward to that. And with that, we're going to take a brief break, and then we're going to come back at the push of a button, and we will continue with the rest of DC Comics. Alright, and we're back, and next book is yours.
Yes, and that would be Justice League United, issue number 5. Really, to sum it up, it was all about Miyabin. I think that's how you pronounce the name in this book, and it's basically about her, and John Jones is with the little Martian boy that he could read his head with and stuff. So they're trying to get also Adam Strange to get back on planet Earth, and they're having like a little bit of a hard time to get the portal. Artwork's fantastic, by the way, and really was all just trying to find ways and learning more about...
I'm having a hard time seeing John Jones look that way.
Look what? Oh, yeah. Then Miyabin is with her grandmother, and she's trying to explain the story about what it's like to be a hero and, you know, how to use your powers wisely. So that was a little bit of a nice scene between granddaughter and grandmother. And that's really all. I don't want to give too much away. Oh, Miyabin is fighting off against this demon who is the father, and she does get him to snap out of it with all that. And the ending part of it, there's been a...
That's the lead... what do you mean?
Well, I don't want to say.
I don't want to say it is, but yeah, that looks really good, and it's leading into the annual, which then is going to lead into a few other things with other
it relates
teams.
to them destroying a child, and John Jones isn't really crazy about that.
Yeah, and I love his facial expression. The artist really captured that pretty well.
But, with all due respect, this book, it just keeps getting awesome. It was going a little bit on a downward slope, I will admit that, but it came back up in a great way, and you almost spoiled the book.
Well, I thought you didn't know who you were seeing.
I was seeing it. I didn't want to say who it was.
Before we get into this book, I'm going to talk about the book itself for a couple of minutes. But we're going to talk about Batman 35. The story was really good. I enjoyed it. Greg Capullo's back. Scott Snyder's back. Awesome. Great. I can't wait for the rest of this story. Now, at the same time, as I understand, you know, comic books are what they are. DC Comics has never gone over $3.99 for an ongoing series. The thing with the Batman title, for now, at least for Endgame, and at least until December, the Batman title is, as you can see here, $5. Now, I didn't know this. I thought that it was $5 for part 1, just like in Zero Year, and then probably $5 for the midway point, and then $5 for the end. No. And I give Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder credit. They're fighting to get this book brought back down to $3.99 because they know people are going to leave it. But I will say this. I enjoy Batman. I really, really do. I'm enjoying the stories. I love the artwork. Scott Snyder's writing is amazing. However, I will not pay $5 a month for a book that should be $3.99. I don't need the backup story, and for the amount of stuff we get in each Batman issue, it does not beckon $5. That is why I take a star away from this book. Not because of the writing, not because of the story. The story looks really good. The writing's really sharp, and Greg Capullo's artwork couldn't be any better than it's at its peak right now. I'm loving it with Batman, but I refuse to pay $5 a month for a Batman title. I'm not going to do it. I will give it till the end of this year, because I would like to see this story arc finish, but at the same time, if we are going into January, February, and March, and it's still $5, and we're going to have the January solicits next week, I'm going to seriously consider, if not definitely, drop Batman until the price at least goes back down to $3.99. There's no reason for this book to be $5. Multiversity is $5, and we actually just dropped that because we have too many books we're reading. There's no reason for this book to be $5. It's fine at $3.99. $5 for the first part, $5 for the last part. Fine. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think about Batman being $5 now. Because if we let this go, who's to say Action Comics won't become a $5 book and all the other books? I mean, DC drew the line at $2.99 before the New 52. Then when they brought the New 52 in, Batman and Action Comics and Detective Comics stayed at $3.99, which we were fine with. Most other books, like Batman, like the weeklies, and anything that came out like Green Lantern's books, are $2.99. The newer books, however, like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Justice League United, are all $3.99, which, again, nobody's squabbling about because there still are a lot of $2.99 books coming out of DC. And, you know, $3.99, even Marvel's doing that. But $5, I think that's where, even if it's an amazing book, no. At least not Batman. Batman was never $3.99. So Batman's having these horrible nightmares of his end, basically. And then out of nowhere, Wonder Woman shows up and wants to kill Batman. And so does the Flash and a few other Justice League members. And we find out that Batman has this huge mech suit that allows him to fight against most of the Justice League. And I'm not going to spoil it, but... well, actually, they did spoil it at New York Comic Con. But we might be seeing... I mean, we had Death of the Family. Then we had a whole year's worth of Zero Year. So, it's been a year. It's about time for the return of the Joker. Looks like the Joker has Jokerized the Justice League. But is it the Joker or is it something else? We don't know, because there's a backup story called The Pale Man, which I don't really... it does not beckon a whole new dollar, but it does sort of connect to stories with the Joker where they're claiming he's a demon, he's this, he's that, and nothing can kill him.
Why? A Joker a demon?
Something like that. I didn't need the backup story. To be honest, I think this book should be $3.99. I enjoyed the story. It was really good. It was nice seeing, this does take place also, to note, after. This takes place after Batman Eternal. So, Alfred's back to normal. His daughter is there until he's back on his feet and he's 100%. But we don't get to see the rest of the Bat family yet. So we do know, obviously, this book, the only thing this book gives away, which we all knew already, is Alfred's okay and the daughter's sticking around for a time. And the Batcave is now a bunker in a building in the middle of Gotham. I guess we'll find that out also by the end of Batman Eternal. But anyway, all in all, really good book, really good beginning to the story. I guess we'll just wait and see where it goes, but I'm not paying $5.99 for the next couple. I'll pay it for a couple more issues, but I will not continue it, especially with so many books coming out next year. It's not right, and I agree with Scott Snyder and Greg Capella. This book needs to go back to $3.99. Speaking of Batman Eternal issue 27, he's still trying to find out information about Hush. This issue kind of just didn't do anything for me. It progressed the story very slowly. We have Killer Croc, who's looking for, what was her name? The little girl, I forgot her name. I don't know. Anyway, Batgirl is interrogating Jason Bard. Oh, Jade. Killer Croc wants to find Jade, and Jade is brought back to her uncle, who I don't know about the uncle, but you got Batman and Catwoman basically teaming up together. Like I said, he's trying to find out information about Hush. Killer Croc's trying to find Jade. Jade knows Catwoman and her identity and where she lives, so yeah, let's just say the issue doesn't end well for Catwoman. You've got Pink Flamingo who shows up, and Batman is trying to figure out if Pink Flamingo might know something about Hush. And then Spoiler actually leaves Batman a note, which I really enjoyed that also. So you're getting to see Spoiler interacting with Batman now, and she even says, I'm not ready for a conversation yet. I just thought you should know that people are tracking you through an app where every time they see you, they basically put down where you are, and they're basically predicting where your next... They can, through this, predict where your next appearance will be. So, thanks to Spoiler, Batman has a little bit of a heads up on this Bat Track app. And I guess it'll play into the next issue. I don't know. I thought it was an okay issue, but the only thing I could say is at the end of this issue, oh boy, I can't wait to see what happens with Catwoman. Future's End issue 23 was another okay issue. You have Black Adam saving the Frankenstein and Amethyst with Adam, and I like how Adam now looks like the Atom. So apparently in the future the Atom becomes the Atom. And they save Hawkman and Amethyst and Frankenstein. They run off planet before Brainiac could stop them. You've got moments with Tim's girlfriend where you get a little bit of a flashback where she and Tim get into this humongous fight where she can't trust him anymore because he lied to her. And then you see her and Ronnie. There might be something going on. I could care less about the voodoo part of this book, and that was basically a bulk of the middle of the book. All that I noticed is that this guy that they were going after wants them to do a job for him, and the job is to kill 50 Sue. And then we jump into the future where Mr. Terrific meets the new and twistedly improved Batman, and Brother Eye is going to send this Batman, which is a composite of Batman and Joker, back in time to stop Terry from fixing the past and preventing Brother Eye from coming into existence again, and all that stuff that leads into 35 years later, the human race basically being wiped out. Again, an okay book, not really something over just an average read. However, this week we got the first issue, and DC did this right, which is why I can't understand what they're doing with Batman, because they did this so perfectly. Double-sized first issue, still only $2.99, Earth 2 World's End, issue number 1. The third and final weekly series is officially here. And World's End, issue number 1, I love how the whole beginning of the book, basically all of... keep going, keep going, keep going. I think it's about here. No, I think I went too far. The whole beginning of the book basically shows you, yeah, up to here. The entire beginning of the book gives you a sum up of everything that's going on in the Earth 2 series from issue 0 all the way through until issue number 27. And they do it so amazing. It's good for new readers and it's good for readers of the series already, because for new readers, you get caught up on everything that's been going on in Earth 2. For old readers who have been reading Earth 2, they add in scenes that we didn't see in the series. They add more to the story, and they show you a little bit more behind the scenes where it's Terry Sloan's fault that Darkseid and all this stuff is happening to Earth 2, because basically all he wants is, oh god, it was in the very beginning. He reaches out to the multiverse basically, and all he cares about is, where was it? We'll continue along, but all he cares about basically is preserving, oh here we go, he'll do whatever's necessary no matter what to save his world. Now, is his world Earth 2? Is his world the New 52? We don't know. But anyway, we find out that who captured Jimmy. You know, when we were introduced to Jimmy in Earth 2, he was just locked up. We find out that Batman's the one that actually had him locked up. And we find out that the Trinity knew that Jimmy would know how to stop Darkseid, but there was no clearance to bring him out. We saw how the Trinity died, the Justice Society to be beat Darkseid, but then we jump into present day. Now, everybody's still healing from what happened with Dark Superman, or the Dark clone of Superman, whatever you want to call it. And Power Girl and Huntress are now back on Earth 2. So, they meet up with the other, they meet up with Lois and, who else do they meet up with? Batman, Superman, and Red Tornado. They meet the three of them. There's a really heartfelt reunion between Lois and Kara, aka Power Girl. And you can see that there's definitely a gap between Batman and Helena, but you really don't see it too much in this issue. So basically the Justice Society is still trying to fix all the mess that happened during the Apocalypse invasion. And the World Army wants, you know, funding to fix things, and the world basically doesn't want to help them. And then of course you have, oh god, why can't I remember his name? Bedlam, who basically wants to kill Mr. Terrific and Terry Sloan now because he basically feels their usefulness is done. That's the end of this issue. Now, the reason why I didn't talk about Earth 2 yet is because it continues from World's End. I feel like these two belong together this week, because right after this, the fire pits on Earth, basically, out of the fire pits emerges these warriors of Apocalypse. And then if you started reading Earth 2 before you read World's End, like myself, at the very beginning of the book, after you get a little bit of a, before they were superheroes, like before Apocalypse attacked, you know, the world the way it was before they lost Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, it says right at the title screen then, this issue takes place after the events of World's End #1. So that's why I put this book down and read World's End first. But anyway, now Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Red Tornado, Huntress, and Power Girl are trying to find out what's going on. What caused the earthquake, and they don't know about they know about the Warriors of Apocalypse, but I forget what they were. There was a distress signal or something. They're going to the fire pit in Genova, but they first stop off at a facility, and it turns out that these creatures came out of nowhere from one of the warriors, and now it's up to them to save the scientists, basically. And this book, you see flashbacks of how Superman, the New 52 Superman, and Kara actually met on Krypton before they were sent away in their rockets. You get to see the kind of hesitant reunion of Huntress and Batman, because she doesn't want to believe he's her grandfather. But at the same time, you see towards the end they're starting to get along a little bit. And then, of course, you get more flashbacks to the past, which is what I was telling you about, where Val and Kara actually had this thing, and it looks like they're continuing. I don't know. This is the end of the book. Let's put it that way. It's not really much of a spoiler. It's more of a reunion. So basically, it's reintroducing Power Girl and Huntress to Earth 2 in the current status quo. You got Batman, Superman, and Red Tornado with them working together to fight against Apocalypse. You got really great artwork, a bunch of dialogue I'm leaving out on purpose, which you're probably going, Chris, you're not explaining the book the right way, and that's because you really should read this book. I love the artwork. I'm loving Tom Taylor's writing on this book, and I'm excited for World's End, and I'm guessing this book will connect to whatever World's End issue is out the same week it's out. I'm loving Earth 2. World's End definitely got my book of the week this week. It was a really good issue. Earth 2, again, the only reason I have it, I'm reviewing it after World's End is because it did take place technically after World's End. It wouldn't make sense to review it first and then go into World's End, because they are basically part 1, part 2. Can you read Earth 2 without reading World's End? I wouldn't recommend it, because the beginning of Earth 2, World's End explains what's going on in Earth 2 in that current moment. But it was a really good read. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out. And with that, that's it for this review, guys. Don't forget to, as always, check out Comic Related. We are 10 years old now at Comic Related. Comic Frontline, we just covered a bunch of stuff at New York Comic Con. Hopefully you guys will check those videos out. Zone 4 Podcast, where every week there is another episode of the Zone 4 Podcast Network. And
Frontline Gaming Zone,
where eventually we will catch up on a bunch of games. We have a pile already of new games that we're going to be doing, and we got a Halloween special we're working on, and fingers crossed we'll actually do it.
And I'm trying to run things very smoothly.
Yes. And altogether, we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Guys, feel free to leave comments below. Likes, dislikes, recommendations, anything you'd like to talk about that we talked about here, any of the books, your opinion on any of the books, whether it be the same or different. Yep. Love hearing you guys, and we'll answer your guys' comments in the comments below. 2 more days and you guys will get the haul. Yep. Possible return of another series, and just look forward to a lot of stuff on Comic Frontline as well. So until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we will see you guys in the next review.
Later, everybody.